This is Noah and JR, and we're coming together to talk to you about a very um, popular topic, the yin and yang, and we wanted to give our perspective, not only our perspective, but our truth on the yin and yang and duality and what that really is, and is it even what you would even think it would be?
The first thing I want to speak about is truth. Who gets to be the judge of that? So I'm not a really big fan of judging a truth. So let's dispel the idea of truth and let's choose another word rather than truth. Because once you get into a truth, you're sort of getting into duality too. Because there's a right and a wrong. So let's take the word truth and put it in the trash bin, because there's no such thing. And let's say in our data stream that there simply is. And that's kind of a condensed version of the I am, which is another popular saying that was popularized by the Bible. I am that I am. And so if you take the I am and consider it or rethink it in 2023 as isness, when capital I is as in God, every single possibility that exists is. And from the is, I create. So no matter what circumstances in your life right now, you could always come back to the is and find stillness. Even if you're seemingly bleak and everything's falling around you, you can just go to the is and say, right now, at this point in time, forget about everything that's happening in my life. Now, I'm breathing air and everything's okay. Everything's fine. I'm here breathing air. You can feel the breeze coming up now around me as I'm speaking it. So that brings us to another topic of what is the breeze? Is the breeze spirit acknowledging the message? And that's a whole other podcast, because I'm actually getting onto a different tangent there, but you just noticed the breeze picked up when I said something. So is the breeze what it is? You've heard of a guy that walked on water when the water was going turbulent and he stilled it all. And he told them all to be quiet. So what was he talking to at the time? The breeze is coming back up to say hi, right, around us. So do you see the game you're in? You're just not recognizing you're in the is at all times. You've been taught other things. So undo the word truth, because who gets to be the judge of that? There's no such thing. Truth comes down to perspective. If there's 8 billion people on the planet, then the reality is there's 8 billion truths. And I say to every one of you, you're all truthful, because it's your reality. 8 billion truths all going at once are creating what you're experiencing around you in harmony or disharmony. It is. Everything is. So from the word is, when you've got seemingly bleak circumstances in your life, then you can always come back to now. Stop what you're doing immediately and just breathe the air. And how do you feel? Is anything hurting you while you're breathing the air? Is anything harming you? You can always breathe and center into the is, and then from the is go is interesting, not is bad, is bleak, is terrible. Interesting is creating a neutral, because interesting is not really definitive as much. What I say is it is what it is. But if you want to go, it is interesting, and then breathe and just keep saying it is interesting until your turbulent situation settles on the wave, and then start controlling the motion of the ocean by the next word you speak after is interesting, and just say interesting until the waters calm down in your mind, because most of everything you're doing is all mind created, mind running road. This person said this to me, this person is making a noise, so he's interrupting me, and it's got nothing to do with me at all. It's because he's making a noise. But it's actually got something to do with how you're reacting to him making a noise. These people making a noise here, celebrating while the podcast is going, I'm thankful to them. They're creating joy. But let's say someone is seemingly disturbing me, I can say, thank you, universe. You're teaching me temperance and patience. Waiting for silence. I can wait all day for them to be silent. But I learned a lesson. Instead of reacting to this person negatively, I changed my atomic spin on what I'm thinking and created a stillness in me, not a reactionary. Because everybody around you is the same as you. The life force energy that exists in me exists in the tree, exists in the rock. So truth, now that we've dispelled the word truth we're talking about is, then we started the podcast with intent of talking about, what were we actually talking
We
about?
were talking about duality and the
Duality and
yin
yin and yang.
And we started it off.
I got into the
by
is too
falling
much and
in.
lost focus because I'm in the now, which is where you're supposed to be. See how I lost focus of everything? You lose focus of whatever is seemingly bleak if you go into the is. So now we're talking about yin and yang. That is a yes and a no, a yin and a yang, a right and a wrong. And from a yes and
Truth
a no,
or false.
from a yes and a no, you get into an argument, and from an argument, you get into a war. Then you have nuclear missiles. So yin and yang, where did that come from? Well, the answer is it came out of China. And I mean no disrespect to China at all, but it's yin and yang was invented out of China. Because I can't disrespect China, I'll tell you why. Because China is me and I am China. If I'm on the planet, I'm connected to everything that is, and everything is me. So the idea of a racism is just another duality, because you only have one humanity. Do you understand? And so unless you have an alien spaceship, people with green skin land on the White House lawn, you have no other race other than humanity. So there's no racism. That's just another illusion, creating duality, creating arguments. So the idea of the yin and the yang, yin being yes, yang being no, creates a yes and a no. Yes and a no creates an argument. That creates duality. From arguments comes a war, then comes the missiles, then comes funding the war, which is what you're seeing, and it all stems down from fooling you into believing there's a right and a wrong and a truth and a yes and a no. And so there's no such thing as yin and yang. I'll tell you why yin and yang exists, to teach you the truth. Do you know what the truth is? I just answered it in the sentence. Do you know what the truth is? Is oneness. When you have a yes and a no and a right and a wrong, you're outside of what is. When you're out of the is, you're simply in the is not. And so it's like we said in a prior podcast, when you look at a 1 and a plus sign and a 1 on a post-it notepad, you'll see 3 items. Count them, 1, plus sign, 2, the other one here. What does that equal? If you put the equal sign there, it's actually, I'm counting 4 items, but then I could take the equals and turn it up this way, and then that could be 5, 6 items. But if you say 2, you'll get A plus and go straight to the class. But if 1 plus 1 is 2 and everyone's saying 1 plus 1 is 2, how can you ever change the world unless you're out of the box? So duality exists. Yin and yang exists to teach you the value of one and oneness. When you recognize and see through yin and yang, you'll actually become one. So once you recognize the force is in you, the divine essence exists in you, and everything from the divine essence in this tree leaf here to the blue color here, which matches the car in the background, everything is a frequency, everything's the same life force essence. How can there be anything separate? The same essence that exists in the rock exists in everything. Ideas shape the world, and it's all magnified. So if you read my second book, COVID-19, The Love Story, chapter 5 talks about the is, and the last chapter talks about no such thing as yin and yang, creating a duality. But you understand the magnetic field and how everything's magnetically connected. The DNA of you is actually connected to the north and south pole of the planet. So picture a magnet on a fridge. The magnet, really strong magnet, and you let go and it goes bang, straight to the fridge. But pull this magnet apart, you are actually in that force that's trying to pull the magnet to the fridge at all times, in all times, from the time you breathe, first breath to the last breath. You're born of love. If you stay in the space of love and the oneness, you're actually you're in the force, you are the force, and the force is in you.